Hi everybody! So it's been a while since my last video, probably longer than it should have been, but I've just had a hard time figuring out when to do it because I'm trying to do it like when other people aren't home or awake or anything, but it's here now. So in this video I'm going to be talking about when my tics first started, and just that whole story on how I got my first tic, and yeah, hopefully it won't be as long as the last one. So I'll just get right into it. So my first tic showed up in October of 2015. So I was going to a concert with my sister, and we were doing it without our mom for the first time. And it was an all-time low concert. And so when we were there, there were 3 opening bands. Not 1, not 2, but 3, and they each did a ton of songs, and I didn't know that there were going to be that many opening bands. So the entire time I was trying to get up, like gradually get up closer to the stage so that I could be near the front when All Time Low came on. The place was very hot and very crowded, and I probably hadn't drank enough liquid that day or eaten enough, which looking back on it was a terrible idea, because I already have a disorder, syndrome, I'm not sure, called POTS, which basically means that I pass out very easily, and I get dizzy very easily. Most of the time just from standing up. From when I'm sitting down or laying down, I can get dizzy and I have to stop and put my head down until I get normal again. So that wasn't the best idea. So I was dehydrated, I hadn't eaten much food, and it was very hot and very crowded. So I was getting up really close to the front where it was really jam-packed and crowded, and I started feeling like really lightheaded and gross and kind of nauseous, but I was trying to power through so that I could see one of my favorite bands. But I was up there for a long time and I was trying to power through, and my sister was just a little ways behind me. She didn't want to be up in like the crowded area, so she was like, I don't know, 10 feet behind me. And so I started feeling really bad and really dizzy, and so I just couldn't handle it anymore, so I turned around and I kind of speed walked back to my sister, and I was feeling like I was gonna pass out, and so I walked up to her, and part of this is from her point of view because I like started not being able to like remember that part of the story. So I like walked up to her and I said, I think I'm gonna pass out. No. First I said, I don't feel very good. All like kind of slurred and mumbly, and I was like trying to reach for her, and it was really loud in there obviously because a band was playing, and so she was like, what did you say? And so then I got closer to her and I said, I think I'm gonna pass out, like really slurred, and then I just fell. So I didn't hit my head or anything. She and another person at the concert caught me on my way down, and they just laid me on the ground. I was unconscious for about 10 seconds. My sister Maddie said around 10 seconds. So it wasn't a long time, so that probably wasn't, like, it wasn't dangerous for my brain or anything. So I woke up and I was obviously very disoriented, and I tried to stand up right away because I was kind of like nervous and like I don't do very well around a bunch of people, so I was trying to get out of the way. But this girl in the audience who was a nurse just told me to like sit back down and keep my head between my legs and like helped me calm down. And then after that we got walked to the back of the room, and I sat down and I drank some water and I cooled off and everything. And I wasn't feeling very good at that point, which made a lot of sense because I had passed out. That was the second time I've ever passed out in my life. And then I got to see them play All Time Low, but I was standing in the very back of the room, and I could hear them just fine, but it really sucked because the only reason that I passed out was because I was trying to get to the front of the room to see them play, which didn't even happen. So that really sucked, but they were really good and awesome. And then we left a little bit early, like we didn't watch their last encore song because I didn't even really know the song, and I was also just almost like passing out again. I was feeling really dizzy. So my uncle picked us up because we were in the city where he lived, so we were going to stay the night at his house. And so he picked us up and drove us back to his house, and we just like lied down for the rest of the night, and we were like super exhausted, and I was just totally out of it. And so we went to sleep pretty fast. And then right before I was falling asleep, me and Maddie, my sister, were talking. I might get this out of order, but I think it started the night before I fell asleep. I can't remember. It might have been the morning, but either way, I was lying in my bed on the floor in front of the couch where Maddie was sleeping, and I started doing this at random intervals, not that frequently, just like every 10 seconds or 20 seconds or something, and I had no idea what it was. And Maddie asked me, "Why are you doing that? What are you doing?" And I was like, "I don't know, it just keeps happening." And so I was just like, "I don't know, let's see if it keeps happening." And it was happening throughout the whole day. It kept getting kind of worse and like more severe. My uncle was thinking that it was like a muscle spasm in my shoulder that made me like tense up my shoulder and my neck. He was like even trying to massage it and stuff, but that wasn't really helping. It got pretty bad. And then that was the first steak I ever got, and it lasted for about a week. It was the most frequent and like the heaviest during the first like 2 to 3 days, and then it slowly, gradually lessened over the entire week until it was completely gone. Excuse me. And so we went to the doctor nearing the end of that week, so I was still having it, but not very much at all, just to ask him what the hell he thought it was, any of that. And it was already lessening, so he said not to really worry about it if it was going to go away. He thought it just had to do with experiencing a traumatic event, and it was just something that was happening, and it was going away anyway. So it stopped after that week, and then I didn't have another tic for months after that. I was totally fine. I didn't have any more tics, but then a few months after that, I was just having random, sporadic ones, just like one in a day, and I didn't think it was anything. I thought it was just like triggering back to like, I was like thinking about the concert and like that tic that I had for that week, and it was just kind of like triggering it a little bit. So I would do one, and then I was like, oh, it's just my body being weird and like getting triggered by that. And then I don't remember the exact dates or anything, but then my tics started becoming more frequent, not as much as they are now, but they started happening on a daily basis. And then after that, we were kind of figuring out that it was probably Tourette's. Even in like that first week when I had that first tic, I was like, this might be Tourette's, but I don't know. So I was starting to think it was Tourette's by this point. Well, all of us were, because it was pretty obvious there wasn't really anything else it could be. So I started out with just the motor tics, the like, that one. Ha ha ha. I don't remember all of the tics that I had in the beginning, just simple ones like that. I had a few noises like squeaking and gasping was one of the earliest ones. a lot of head jerking. And then I started, a little while after that was frequent for a while, I started having vocal ones, like actual words. I remember it was one night I was just on my laptop and I like had this big like backup bubble kind of, if that makes sense, of like the urge to tick, and I was already ticking, but I like needed to do more. My body was like not getting satisfied by like the tics it was making me do, and then all of a sudden I started yelling "no" in my room by myself. And I was doing that multiple times. I even recorded it when it was first happening. I don't think I have that anymore. I think it got deleted or something. But I was saying no a lot. And it was very strange because I'd never said words before, so it was a really weird feeling. And I started saying stop, I think, was the one that was also started that night. I was saying that one less than no. But again, it was an even longer word, so it was really weird. And then the next day I think I texted my mom that night, but she was already asleep, and so I just like wanted to like let her know while it was happening. And then the next morning I was awake when my mom got up for work, and I was out here in the living room, and I was saying words. And then as like right a little bit before she left for work, I said, content warning, by the way, you say bad words. I said, fuck, kind of quietly and under my breath because I was embarrassed, I guess, is kind of the right word. Like, I didn't want to start saying that, and I knew my mom would be like, whoa, what are you doing? Like, so I was trying to, like, kind of say it quietly, and I was trying to hold in the tic, suppress the tic. And just say like no and stop, but then it came out once, and my mom was like, oh no, don't start doing that, like that's not good. And so from then on, mostly I've like, there are some spouts, like even sometimes full months, where I didn't say words, or like where I didn't have certain types of tics, but mainly from then on I've had the motor and verbal noises, verbal words, and all of that. More recently, in the past few months, I've gotten the aggressive ones where I punch and smack things, which isn't the funnest thing. It's sort of painful sometimes, and it's just disruptive, and I don't want to do it, but I'm dealing with it, and it's just part of me, so I can't really hate it because it's part of who I am now. But I think that's pretty much the whole story of where my tics came from up until now. It is kind of strange that it started at a like very specific date. Like right after that happened, it just showed up out of nowhere. But that's what happened. I'm not sure. I haven't really heard anybody else who has Tourette's say that it happened like that to them. But that's how it started for me. Cats. So I think that's the end of that. A few more things. You might have noticed that I'm ticking less in this video than in my first one. It's because I'm focused on telling a story, and I'm not. In the first one, I was specifically talking about my tics and showing them attention, so they were showing up a lot more. Cats. So I'm not like faking it or something. I don't know why I would fake it if I'm just making noise and saying cats and stuff like that. But just in case anybody was wondering about that, that happens all the time if I'm focusing on something. Like if I'm drawing, if I'm watching TV, they go down immensely. They go down a ton. And when I'm singing, I don't take at all. I know that a lot of other people with Tourette's have said that happens to them too, and nobody really knows why. So I have that too. or I don't tic when I sing, unless it's like insanely bad, then sometimes it comes through a little bit. Okay, so I think that's about the end of the video. I rambled a bunch and a lot of stuff. Oh, I thought about that I was going to say this before I started the video and I didn't even say it. So another one of the things that I don't think that I said in my previous video, I might have. I have a terrible memory, but I'll just say it again now if I said it before already. I sometimes stutter because of my Tourette's. I don't even remember when that started. I remember the day, but I don't know when it was. I was stuttering the entire day, almost every single word. So it was really bad that first day, and I've had it ever since then. It's a lot more subdued now than it was that first few days and like the week after that day. But I still have it, especially if I talk about it and show it attention. So I have that. So if you hear that sometimes, then that's what's happening. Okay, that's probably the end of the video. Okay, I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I'll try to get another video out sooner than this one came out. I have some ideas for the next few. The idea for this video came from a comment from my last video, so thank you for that suggestion, or guess question. It wasn't really a suggestion. But yeah, thanks for that, and I hope you guys enjoyed hearing my story. This one is definitely shorter than my last video, even if it's still like 17 minutes long. But I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope to see you at my next video. Bye guys!